To begin this session, I would now request on the dais to the stage His Excellency Ugo Astuto, Ambassador of the European Union of India, Ms. Henriette Faergemann, Head of Section Environment, Energy, Urbanization and Mobility, European Union Delegation and all EU businesses, and Mr. Poul Jensen, Team Leader, Business Support Project, and MD of the European Business and Technology Center, EBTC. Without any delay, I would now request His Excellency to give his welcome remarks, and we would take this opportunity to thank His Excellency for his presence today and for joining us on this very special occasion. To you, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, I am thanking you for coming and for inviting me today. It's a great pleasure to be here with you all. It's an interesting concept, EU Excellence in India, and there's a particularly appropriate forum to present it in the World Sustainable Development Summit. So the name of the event sums up the idea. We wish to bring together EU business champions in India, but not just business champions, also champions of the model that fosters sustainability and climate actions. And they foster sustainability and climate action as part of the core of their business. So the business that are participating today, they come from a very wide range of sectors. They follow different models, they have different corporate histories, but they all share the same commitment to fight climate change and to achieve sustainable targets as part of their own business culture. And this commitment has shaped the business journey domestically and in this market here in India. So as you probably know, the new commission, the commission just installed in December, which has just taken office, has made the new Green Deal an essential feature of its program. And the new Green Deal is a very ambitious and innovative proposition, whereby we want to go beyond the traditional dilemma, jobs and growth versus protection of the environment. What we are trying to achieve through the new Green Deal is what we want to demonstrate is actually the protection of the environment is an engine, is a motor for growth, for economic growth, and to create jobs through innovation, through creativity. And obviously the business models we are going to see today are a case in point, which we hope can foster awareness and can create a new culture. In the most recent EU-India summits, we have agreed with India already on a number of initiatives which are relevant from the environmental dimension on water, on clean energy, on climate action, on sustainable urbanization, and we want to partner on resource efficiency. So we are already working with a number of Indian partners on the implementation of this partnership in terms of policy development, but also in identifying concrete business opportunities, because it's a fact that the protection of the environment can also be a business opportunity. And the EU and Indian business can cooperate and develop solutions together. It's a fact that the EU is the first trade partner of India. It's also the largest investor in India. It will remain so. Even after Brexit, the figures are clear. The EU will remain the first trade investor in India. So there is a lot ongoing, and the potential is even larger if we look at the years to come. The EU Excellence in India initiative aims to demonstrate how we can further develop. This initiative will offer a platform for you as you business and chambers of commerces and partners where you can exchange insights, where you can exchange lessons learned. And later in the session, we will see a few concrete examples. These are examples, obviously there can be others. Those who joined the initiative today are all characterized by their leadership in green, innovative, clean solutions. Solutions which have also proved attractive in the Indian market and for Indian partners. So what we shall try to do is to push further, to spur further this concept. And we hope that this initiative today will also help in that respect. Those who join will share a few common features. They all believe that the green business model and clean technology solutions are the way forward. They want to create new jobs and economic advancement across sectors in driving the transformation of their industry towards greener technology. So in conclusion, let me thank you all, congratulate particularly the businesses who joined the EU Excellence Initiative today. Thank you all for being here. Thank the organizers for the work you have been doing. And let's try to work together towards the same goal, the same objective. Fight against climate change requires global awareness, collective engagement from all sectors of society. Government, they must do their part. Business, civil society, we need to get together and to be creative in finding new forms of engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the ambassador for his kind words. Now I would request Mr. Poul Jensen to provide an overview of this program.
Because I have a quick presentation, and I actually have the daunting task of giving you in, I think, 6 minutes, something that actually requires more than 30 minutes, but we'll do so. And because it's quite important, as the ambassador also said, what we're doing here in terms of commitment. It's a business-driven initiative, creating this, if you will, select group of champions within the sustainability space. We will all be signing that commitment over here in just a few moments. And I think one of the key words that was also said is business-driven, and that we are here to co-create solutions that actually focus on sustainability at all levels. So I'll try and race through these slides without losing too much of what I'm actually supposed to say. Importantly, is that we want to bring together these business champions from the EU. We had a large group of them just before this session down below to discuss on what topics should we focus on, what should we do to portray that EU excellence and infuse some of it into Indian projects together with Indians, so also collaboration and co-creation at that level. What I just wanted to show you quickly on this slide is the definition or the thought process behind this, and it's not something that's set in concrete right now, but it's a direction, it's some thinking that we've been doing together, are the categories of the excellence that these champions will try and portray. So one is, of course, you produce, you manufacture, you develop, you implement solutions that are sustainable themselves. So whether you, say, are in the renewable energy sector, for instance, where you create windmills, that is obviously portrayed as very sustainable. You could also create sustainability, have a focus on your internal processes in your organization that drive towards sustainable outcomes, sustainable impact. Say you create an innovation incentive within internally, so you actually incentivize innovation that has a sustainability angle. So there are also quite some interesting ideas from the group that we sat with just before. And then we also spoke a lot about sustainable operations within an ecosystem. So if I'm a business and I have to work with suppliers, I also work with clients, I work with logistics suppliers, how can I make that whole process more sustainable and try and showcase examples of that, because that's also a collaborative effort. And then obviously a lot of the CSR, the corporate social responsibility projects and engagements that are required, actually mandated by law here in India, they could also have a sustainable angle if so wished. We also learned from the CEO roundtable that we just had, the group, that, for instance, several states have something they call corporate environmental responsibility. Over and beyond corporate social responsibility, there's also corporate environmental responsibility. So that alone itself already portrays even the trend towards sustainability also in the Indian scenario. So we will have to start thinking of that. And I think also the EU, in conjunction with Indian partners, will be able to develop something quite interesting there. Now, the whole program that we're signing this commitment to, the EU Excellence here in India, is aimed at being a long-term program and is there to support that engagement, those initiatives, those collaborations that focus on this excellence within sustainability. So there's a lot of different support activities that could be thought of. If we take them one by one, we could think about cooperation. How can this program support collaboration between parties who do want to engage in some of these excellent sustainable initiatives? How do you create access to opportunities, to specific projects that have a sustainable angle? There are a lot of EU programs, EU activities, also the bilateral chambers, the member states themselves have a lot of activities in this space. And how do we connect the dots to make people actually work on projects? And that was also one thing that came out just before this session, that there has actually been a lot of really good work done at high level, at government level, at municipal level, in terms of developing strategies, instead of developing plans, what should we all do? But now everybody has a hard wish. How do we, go the next level? How do you really create something on the ground and showcase that something is possible? And that's really about connecting the dots, so identifying the projects, it's connecting partners with each other, it's connecting projects to finance and much more. And then there's also a wish to communicate about all the good stuff that one is doing in terms of sustainable collaboration and in terms of excellence, if you will. So there's a lot of initiatives that we've already discussed and gone through in terms of these three pillars, in terms of the support that this EU Excellence Program here in India can support with, and that's what we're all signing on for on that board as well. So if you will, there's certain feedback from the group that said, look, we really want to focus on pilot projects that we can showcase. We're even willing to see how can we create multi-stakeholder projects among ourselves with our Indian collaborators and co-finance them ourselves, maybe with development bank financing, maybe with private bank financing. We're willing to look at supply chain and make that even more sustainable if possible. We have actually spoken about how can we enhance a project dashboard that has already been created in another EU initiative, EU-India project. And that is actually quite substantial in terms of the visibility. So one, it gives an access to information on projects, but two, it also enables us all to say, look, this is actually what Europe and India is doing together on projects of this sort in a consolidated and compiled fashion. And right now there's a lot of public projects, public projects, but projects identified by all the EU member states, but there's a lot of more projects that are actually done by private companies that are not captured yet. And if we consolidate all that, we're hoping for some quite substantial numbers that we can communicate and that will support the whole cause. So I think I did it within 6 minutes because now what we really want to do is see some of these examples after we've done the signing ceremony because that's where we really learn what is already being done and where we can all be inspired, and maybe others can tap in and say, look, I can actually support that company's effort in that area because I am doing something in that area, or I have something that can support that effort in that area. So it's all about talking about what we're doing and what good is happening, and then trying and putting our hands together and saying this is what we can really do and also communicate about it. So. And that was also what came out of that the session we had just before this event. So one idea was brought up, another person said, "Oh, I would be interested in that, and I can connect in that form." And that's what this program is actually all about: being the consolidator and maybe the convener, the neutral party that sort of engages on those fronts. So yeah. that was my very brief overview of the program, which, like I said, is not set in stone. It's being co-created, it's being developed, and will continue to evolve with all the inputs from anybody who's interested in giving input. We have open ears, all sides, and are only keen on making this as relevant and as valuable as possible to you all, to all the members of the EU Excellence Program, as well as anybody who is in touch with it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jensen. Now we will move on to the signing ceremony for the EU Excellence in India program. And to begin with and to take it forward, now I would call Ms. Henriette Faergemann to say a few words.
So good afternoon, everybody. I think there's not much that I can add to what has already been said. I think you have heard why we believe that this is a good idea, why we are trying to take forward this concept of EU excellence in India as a way of European businesses to showcase some of the good things that you're already doing here and how Europe is actually excellent in this area of sustainability. So we are really happy that you are all here and as was being said, to help us to co-create this. So we are supposed to have a signing ceremony now, and I'm going to be the master of ceremony. I don't know exactly how I will do it, and I don't even have a pen. So let's see if somebody is able to help me. But we have a number of different categories of people who are going to sign. And now somebody's running for a pen. So I will take another microphone, and then I will go over there. So then it'll be probably easier to steer the thing. So this is an expression of interest to be a partner to this EU Excellence in India. It's a commitment to help us to co-create this and to make it, as was being said, as relevant as possible. So we have a number of different partners that are going to sign today, and I will try to get you up here in an orderly fashion. So first of all, we will sign on behalf of the European Union. I don't know if you want to do it or I should do it, but one of us will sign on behalf of the European Union. Then we will have somebody signing on behalf of the EU Excellence Program, so the program that is being implemented by EBTC and that is supposed to be the facilitator and the support structure for this whole program. Then we will have all the companies who have committed to sign. And then we will have a number of other representatives from European Union, so from either from our embassies or from bilateral chambers of commerce. So let's start. I will start with my signature then, and then I will invite you. Okay, so for the EU Excellence in India program, I suppose that it will be Poul or Judith or both. Yes. You can sign both, or Mate. You can also sign. Yeah. Yes. It's also a fitness program. Very good. Okay, so now company representatives, I'm not going to call all your names out, but please make yourself ready. Maybe you can say who you are while you sign or after you sign. Please.
Stefano Pelle, Ferrero, India, and I'm the closest one, so I'm the first one to sign.
You are producing chocolates and Nutella.
We do.
Yes.
Nutella, Tic Tac in the...
Okay, excellent.
I'm Serene from Designate. We produce high-performance cutting tools.
Thank you. So.
This is Dr. PKC Bose. I'm from Enercon Wind Energy. We produce wind turbines.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Neetu Kapasi from IKEA India.
And you produce furniture. you.
Hi, I'm Premal Loswal, Managing Director, Harville Agua India Private Limited, an Indo-Spanish joint venture in the irrigation space.
Thank you. We need a bigger board. Yes, exactly.
I am Vikram from Doppelmayr.
And you produce?
We produce ropeways.
Thank you.
I'm Deepthi Singh from Skoda Volkswagen. We're in the automotive space.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Utsav Dixit. I'm with Alpla India. We are manufacturers of plastic bottles and caps.
And you're recycling them as well, right? Good. Excellent. Thank you.
Vaibhav Adhyaru from Umicore, India.
And you are?
We are the precious metal refiner. Thank you.
You're making sure we don't run out of precious metals, right? Thank you very much. So do we have any more company representatives? Yeah, we see somebody coming from the back. No? Yes? Hello.
Good afternoon. This is Deepthi from Magnetic Engineers. We are dealing with the defense sector, and we are the ultimate defense business consultants in India.
Thank you very much. Any more companies who wish to sign? Yes, please come. It's not your last chance, but you might as well do it today.
My company is Regnant Energy Solutions. We are doing the off-grid solutions, DC mini microgrids and energy storage solutions.
Very nice. We need you very much. Okay, thank you very much. So I think this was all the companies. So if there are anybody from our diplomatic missions, the EU embassies, or our bilateral chambers of commerce who would like to sign, that would also be a really nice support action. Please.
I'll go first. My name is Milan Dostal, and I represent here the Embassy of the Czech Republic.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pelle, and I represent the Indo-French Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Thank you so much. You have to clap louder because I only have one hand. I can't clap.
Hello, my name is Christoph Pfeiffer, and I represent the Austrian Embassy.
Thank you very much.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Guillaume Choquet, I'm the Academic Counselor at the Belgium Embassy, but also permanent invitee for the bilateral Chamber of Commerce of Belgium and Grand Duchy of Luxembourg.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Gibbers. I'm the Deputy Head of Mission of the Embassy of Luxembourg. I'm also a member of the Belgium-Luxembourg Business Chamber, and it's also my pleasure to be signing this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, there's one more behind you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Teresa, representing the Embassy of Spain. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget to sign. Thank you very much. Anybody who are not mentioned in any of these categories who would like to sign? So we could, of course, also have had Indian companies sign, because I know that many Indian representatives are also here looking for European partners, but maybe that will be for the next session. So thank you very much for all of those who have signed. Actually, we were supposed to keep you all up here for a group photo. I don't know how we will manage that now. Maybe we have time, right?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
We've been quick. Okay, so
Yes,
all of you, those who have signed, can you please come back and we can have a picture?
All
Sorry
the
about that.
signatories.
I should have organized that better. Sorry.
We'll request all the signatories to come on the dais, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
We will now take this session forward, and I would request Mr. Poul Jensen to come on the stage and moderate the next session, which is on demonstrating EU excellence in India based on concrete examples. The panelists for this session, whom I would like to now invite on the dais, please. Dr. P.K.C. Bose, Vice Chairman, Managing Director, Enercon Wind Energy. Mr. Stefano Pelle, Managing Director, Ferrero, India.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming here and being here. We're actually supposed to have a lady from IKEA speak with you, so we could also have a bit of female influence on the panel. I'm sorry that you have to live with three men. Yes, I have nothing much to add to what I said in the presentation. I am as keen as you are at listening to and hearing what is Ferrero and what is Enercon doing in terms of sustainability action, whether it's internal in the organization, whether it's external with the environment or the suppliers or their products. So I think without further ado, I would like to request Mr. Bose, Dr. Bose, sorry, to give his presentation and your insights. And then maybe we can have a discussion after both of you have presented. Dr. Bose?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have a short presentation, little bit about Enercon and what are our plans for India, and especially on sustainability. What are our real interesting insights for India by the Indian investment and Indian exports. So to give you a little brief, we are a company established in 1984, family-owned company, same as most of the German corporations, headquartered in Aurich, which is in Lower Saxony in Germany. We are nearly 20,000 people working globally, and we are the largest wind turbine makers. On technology front, that is the gearless technology turbines, we are the largest in the world. We have some of the very unique features, especially on our logistic front. We own our own ships, we own our own trains in Germany. We have some of the special trailers and cranes, very unique. Everything is designed and developed by Enercon. We are the first company introduced the gearless technology turbines in the world in 1993. Since then, we are the pioneers and leaders in the gearless technology wind turbines. We have nearly 51 gigawatt installations globally, and now we offer not only the wind turbines, but we also offer the energy storage systems and EV charging stations. These are some of our interesting, this is the Enercon ships and Enercon trains, and so this Europe, and then the same we are planning to establish in India, especially on the logistic solution between Europe and India. This is the largest gearless wind turbine, which is a 5 megawatt turbine, which has a blade length of nearly 90 meters. And this is the turbine which we are at the moment introducing in the European market, but this also will be one of the products we are looking at the Indian market. This is an interesting company which is known as Lagaway in Holland, which was acquired by Enercon last year. This company was one of the most innovators for specialized towers. They call it as modular steel tower. This is completely, these towers, you don't have to fabricate it to site, or you don't have to, transport. You can put it in a container and take to the site, and you can just do the nut bolt technology. You can go up to 180 meters hub height only by doing this. This is one of its kind technology, and this is the tower we are going to introduce in the Indian market. This is very lightweight and also very strong. And also these are some of the climbing cranes which is introduced or designed by Lagerweb, but now it is a 100% Enercon company. So this tower, these cranes are nearly 65 tons. It climbs on the tower. So our history in India goes 25 years. We have the relationship with India. We are the first German company came to India in 1994. Started a joint venture with one of the Indian companies, and we had a huge manufacturing base, nearly 4,000 people in India. Until 2007, we were #1 in Indian market. In 2007, we found a lot of fraudulence, and we had to withdraw from India, but we continued our battle in the court in different parts of the world. In 2017, it was decided that our partners in India has gone bankrupt under NCLT, and we decided to come to the Indian market as our own by introducing some of our latest technology turbines and also a lot of investments in India. I think possibly this will be our largest investment outside Germany. And already we have 4 gigawatt Enercon turbines working in India since last 20 years. But now we decided to come as our own, and we are now starting our blade plant, generator plant. Generator plant we just announced last month in Erode in Tamil Nadu. Now we will announce our blade plant, electronics and sub-assembly, and also our tower plant. So Enercon's plan for India is, now we have already started our corporate headquarters in Bangalore in India, and we have nearly 200 people only for the very high-end R&D. We will introduce 4.2 megawatt turbine. This is completely designed from the Indian R&D center, supporting the German global R&D. And also we have a special quality, supporting a global quality center from India. This is one of our biggest initiatives. Then our IT, we are also planning to move to India to invest. So by and large, we have a huge investment plan for India, and I think this will be the largest investment of the wind industry in India. We have already signed our contract for manufacturing the generators in Erode in Tamil Nadu last week, and the same as we will announce our blade, nacelles and spinners, and also electronics, and also our tower plants. Enercon will also introduce the India-specified wind turbines, because we have at the moment in India the challenge is we have only class 3 sites, the class 3 wind sites. So we need a special turbine. So we should have a final design, and the product should be in the Indian market by 2021. And we estimate nearly 2,000 direct employment for when we start the complete operation in India by 2022 beginning, and an indirect close to 4,000 people working in the Indian market. So this is the turbine for India, 3.5 and 4.2 megawatt. This has a hub height of nearly 140 meters and also a blade length of nearly 75 meters. What makes Enercon to return to the Indian market in spite of, we had a lot of discussion on this, and everybody asked why should we go to India. So the CEO said, although we are Germans and we are a German corporation, we still believe in Gandhiji's principle. What is that? He said, end of the day, only the truth will win. So therefore, we won all the battles, so we decided to go to India. So this was a matter of pride for everybody, and today we feel really happy that we are as our own in India. So India is the 4th largest wind energy market, and India will definitely grow in the wind energy sector in the next many years. So this is the reason we are here. There is also a huge opportunity for high technology turbines, especially the customers are looking for more efficient turbines compared to and less maintenance. So the solution is the gearless technology turbines. Enercon can offer a complete energy solution. Possibly we are the one and only company in the wind energy sector offering wind turbines, there is green energy, plus the storage systems and the EV charging stations. And considering the talent available in India, the high quality talents, Enercon will also invest more on research and development areas, not only on wind energy, but also on advanced storage systems. India will also be our global sourcing hub. This means we will produce everything in India and we will export from India. That is our first objective until the Indian market becomes matured and more, because at the moment the price, the bid-in tariff in India is too low. It is really a hard situation for the wind energy companies for a sustainable growth. We have already made enough representation to the government, and hopefully the government should come out with some kind of a interesting plan so that all the stakeholders can really do better in this market, and especially when we are talking about sustainability and green energy, this is the best way the government should take more strong initiative on the tariff areas. But until then, we decided that we will start our export from India to all over the world. These are our wind turbines and our storage and our EV charging stations. So besides the manufacturing of wind turbines in India, we also have plans for India. One of our interesting program for India is establishing an Enercon Center of Excellence for Skill Development. We are already in discussion with government, and one of the state government has offered us a really nice area to start this. So our plan is to create about 2,000 technical people or technicians, train and develop them especially on wind energy sector. That means especially on technical mechatronics and also in high-end electronics and mechanical areas and tower side and so on. Then we will have also a plan for an Enercon training academy where we develop management professionals together with some of the premier business schools in the country, integrating between the cultures. So we are in discussion with a couple of European universities as well as the Indian high-end institute to work on this. We are also working with, we just started working with the academias for development of different projects for the Indian market or the Asia-Pacific market. We will also partner with the wind development organizations and support Indian government for policies and systems in order to make the wind industry more efficient and sustainable, because at the moment there are many of the policies are not active or sustainable, like the repowering policy of India doesn't have really a repowering policy. So these policies are supposed to be in place in order to make this industry really profitable and viable. This is something which we wanted to take it with the government, and so far our efforts are very promising and progressive. We would also like to do a strategic cooperation with building long-term and sustainable partnership with the government, industry, green entrepreneurs, and social society to utilize Enercon's holistic energy capabilities. So anybody who is interested on green energy, sustainable energy, wind energy, please do approach us. We have special level of people who will connect with you and offer you what we can do in many areas, because this is a complete ecosystem we wanted to create, giving back to the society, developing the entrepreneurs in many areas. So those who are interested, they can always contact us. We would definitely connect you to I would personally connect you to the right people. Then you can work with them to see that how we can take the this is really not a CSR activities, but it is also part of developing the next generation entrepreneurs, different thinking and action. That's what we would like to do. Thank you very much. 6 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Bose. Thank you. No, thank you very much. And I see a few points of sustainability and EU excellence that I want to pick your brain about just in a little while. After we've had Mr. Pelle from Ferrero speak about the initiatives that you implement in terms of that we can link to EU excellence and sustainability. Then we have some more inspiration and can talk a bit about that.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know it's 3:20, and you must have had a fantastic lunch. So you might be a little sleepy. But let's see if I can catch your attention for the next 7 to 10 minutes maximum. And if I can get your eyes off your mobiles, which is a very tough challenge. All right, so let me tell you why I'm here today. Well, you know Ferrero, and of course I don't have to say much about Ferrero. I'll do it in a minute. But let me talk to you also about my personal interest in sustainability as well as CSR. I've been here now in India for the last 22 years, in and out. And talking of EU-India excellence, I have the privilege of having headed here in India 3 examples of excellence in India. 3 companies who are leaders in their industries here in India. So, as I said, I've been here for a long time. I had also the privilege, I've been humbled with having received from the former president of India, Mr. Abdul Kalam, a prize for energy conservation 15 years ago here in Delhi. That was a very proud moment for me and my association with this country, which, as I said, has become also my country. I consider myself half Indian after so many years. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, as far as Ferrero is concerned, I'm not going to talk much about the company today because I believe that you know the brands that we produce. What are our brands? Anyone knows? What do we produce? What is Ferrero selling? Kinder. Chocolate. Which chocolate brands? Kinder. Kinder and Nutella and Tic Tac. And if we've forgotten anything, the most important one, which has got the brand, the corporate brand in it. Which one is it? Rocher. Ferrero Rocher, of course, of course. Right, so we produce chocolate. We have people smiling, not only kids, but also adults. We have people smiling, sometimes putting up a little bit of weight, but we have a solution to that. I'll show it to you later. So Ferrero has been in India for the last 13 years, more or less, in the sense that we had the first factory from 2007 to 2011 in a place which is called Baramati, which is in Maharashtra. And then, in 2011, we bought our own land, and we built the factory where we still are. These are the brands, as we said, that we produce in India. But today, we will not talk about our brands, our chocolate, as delicious as they are. We'll talk about something completely different, which is how do we approach the theme of sustainability. And if I say so, it's because Ferrero as a company really believes in this. I would say that CSR, extended CSR, is really in the DNA of this company. And for CSR, we mean sustainability, and we mean also some other kind of initiatives. In fact, there is something that from a business point of view, we call a triple win. This is from the business side, the commercial side. We say that there is a triple win when Ferrero wins, when our trade partner wins, and when the consumer also wins. That is what we call the triple win from the business point of view. But there is also a triple win from the sustainability point of view. That is what you see here. So there are the partners, there is our business, and there is the environment. And overlapping into that, there is the community. So community is the common factor between this triple win that we see from the sustainability point of view. So we would like to have, to become a sustainability hub, and also being a development role model. So we, of course, as I said, we are a privately held company. By the way, Ferrero Global has been there for the last 70 years or so, much longer than here in India. And every year, we do present a CSR report. Since we are a privately held company, we do not need to present our balance sheet. We were not obliged to do that. But on the other hand, even here in India, we present our CSR report every year. And in this CSR report, there are some strong values Ferrero believes in. One is people and planet. We do think that our people are important, not only our people, but the communities where we operate, and we are very careful about the planet. Then natural resources is what we depend on, and of course the stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders. We do believe in the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we have a number of this in our CSR statement, and we really want to follow them. In fact, we believe in a circular economy, in which, of course, we manufacture, we produce, then there is the logistic part, the consumer, then from the consumer, the disposal part is there, and we try to reuse as much as we can in our process. We try to be zero waste plant, both from the solid point of view and from the water point of view. We'll see it a little later. And so we do believe in reducing the environmental impact of our footprints. So when did we start this path? As I said, we have been in India for a few years. Our plant was started in 2011. Already from 2015, 90% of our plastic was recycled. But then this was really the first step. We went much beyond that because in 2017, we started building a very large rooftop solar plant. So at that moment, it was a 1.5 megawatt plant. It was enough to satisfy the need of electricity of approximately 2,000 households. And it was on the top of our main factory. And then, of course, we got ISO 14001, so the environment certification, in 2017. Then we kept on going ahead, and in 2018, we also wanted to go a little beyond. So not only on the main building, but we built a rooftop solar plant also on the top of our parking. And that gave us some more, I would say, saving of CO2 tons. And with this one, we managed to produce the electricity needed by another 400 families. And then, of course, we also believe in the water recycling. We have a state-of-the-art ETP, and there is zero discharge of water. We don't discharge water, we reuse it. Later on, we also extended last year the roof tunnel solar panel that in the meantime has become the biggest in Maharashtra to a part of our warehouse. So today, as of today, this is, as I said, the largest in Maharashtra. We have a power of the capacity of 2.5 megawatt, and this represents 12.4% of our energy in the factory. In fact, during the weekend, we don't use any other energy but from our solar plants. So and by the way, we are working with SEDEX, which, as you know, is an ethical certification body, who's been working with us for the last couple of years. This year, we are going for the 50,001 certification, which is the energy one, as you all know. And we have some more goals in terms of coming down in terms of usage of raw water. So rather than using the raw water for our cooling tower, we're going to use the ETP water. And as I said, in April, we'll have the certification in terms of 50,001. Now, as I said, as a Ferrero corporate, we have some goals, which are stated there. They are public, and every year we have an update on what we have achieved. And on the left there inside, you see some of our goals, which are, for instance, self-produced electricity of 70% of consumption in European plant, of which 18% from renewable sources. So as I said, this is the global goal. In India, we're already at 12.4% in terms of renewable energy. Then some other one like group certification of 50,001. As we said, we're going to get it this year in India. And then some more like implementation of global action on energy. And here in the factory, we have already energy efficient lights. We have shifted from more polluting to less polluting sort of energy. And we are very much there in terms of mobility also. We have electric cars and trucks in the factory and so on and so forth. So something which we are proud of, we have recently signed a commitment with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation for a new plastic economy. And this is a concrete, strong commitment for which in 5 years down the line, all our packaging will be either reusable or compostable or recyclable. And this is a big step from the global commitment point of view. Again, in terms of waste, war to waste, that's what we say. As you know, waste you can, if you look at that pyramid, which is there, inverted pyramid that you see there, you can try to find a way to dispose of the waste in an appropriate, ethical way. But then, going up, you can have some more level, some higher level of commitment towards waste, which is up to the reusing them and also minimize the possible wastes that you produce. So we are trying to follow that. We do it with paper. Every year with paper, we recycle 900 tons of paper as of today. And plastic, we do the same thing. And also there's a good amount of tons of plastic that every year we recycle. And of course, when we talk of CSR and sustainability, we also talk of community engagement in general. As I said, we really believe in sustainability. That's the part of the plant that I was saying, the 3 parts that I mentioned earlier, which produce energy for 3,000, equivalent energy for 3,500 family today, with a saving of over 3,000 tons of CO2 per year. But apart from that, we have also some small initiatives. Like, for instance, we have a kindergarten that we run close to our factory. I'll talk to you about it later on. And every year we do a day of awareness against, in terms of sustainability interaction. We have some community commitment in the sense that, for instance, in Maharashtra last year there was sort of a drought. So for 2 months we provided clean water to the community. For instance, we try to instill this kind of feeling also among our employees by giving some eco-friendly bag to them. We plant trees and so on and so forth. So in terms of CSR, as I was saying, one of our biggest, I would say, initiative that we have. By the way, Ferrero in 2007 was born here in India as a social enterprise. Mr. Michele Ferrero, who's the person who expanded in the word Ferrero, was really a believer in this and created 3 companies over the world as social enterprises, one in Cameroon, one in South Africa, and one in India. And we were the 3rd one, created as Michele Ferrero Social Enterprise. Now, as an initiative of this, 5 years ago, just on our land in Baramati, we created a kindergarten, which can host up to 150 kids. These are preschool kids, and this is completely free. 2/3 of the kids are from our employers. 1/3 of the kids join this kindergarten from outside, the community outside. And not only they learn, they have regular medical checks. They are involved in some other initiatives. And this is, of course, something that we do because we believe about that. This was created before Ferrero used to be profitable in India. So we didn't need to do it because of the CSR commitment. There is a law for the last few years in which a company has to give some part of their profit for the CSR. We used to do that before this commitment because we really believe in that. So this is one initiative. There is another initiative which is the construction of 8 Anganwadi. For those who are not familiar with this term, Anganwadi are sort of smaller kindergarten in, not really kindergarten, but say a small community center where normally kids are taken care of during a certain part of the day, which normally are in very bad shapes if you go in the rural India. So we have seen them, and we have decided that in the span of 3 years, we will completely renovate 8 of this. The first 3 are going to be open in 1 month from now. This is another initiative that we believe in, and we want to take it forward, not to be only in the kindergarten close to the factory, but also in the rural areas close to us. There is one more initiative, which is called Kinder Plus Sport. It's part of our CSR. As I said, while we do give the delightful sense of chocolate and sugar, we also try to instill a healthy way of life to kids. Kinder Plus Sport is an initiative that tries to educate young people to a healthy way of living through sports. And this is an initiative that we had here in India for the last few years, and that every year we keep on repeating. That's what I wanted to share with you, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pelle. We have a few minutes just for a quick discussion. One thing that sort of intrigued me is that, Mr. Pelle, you've chosen to, all the sustainability elements you consequently call CSR. Is that a conscious decision to put all that in the CSR report, and every slide was CSR, even though you talk about power, renewable energy, waste, zero water discharge, and everything CSR?
Yes, it is a conscious choice, as I said. In this yearly CSR report, there are all the different goals, which are mostly in line with the UN sustainability one, and have some sustainability and some other CSR part. But we list them there. We have some clear commitment in terms of year. Every year when we publish this report, we see where we are. If we have not been able to achieve some of this goal, we restate another date, but we don't leave it. We want to go on in that. And that's what we call CSR.
Just one more question from my side. So I take it a lot of the inspiration for all these initiatives are from your head office, possibly, yeah? So when you decide, say, let's do what we've done back home, let's install a solar roof, let's do zero water discharge, whatever, how easy has that been for you to implement it? Because you will typically probably have to use another ecosystem, different stakeholders, different partners. How challenging has that been for you to do so here in India?
Well, it has been very easy in the sense that from our headquarters we have all the possible support for that, since, as I said, the group believes in these initiatives. On the other end, I must say that the local initiatives have been decided by us. They were not proposed by the headquarters. It was really us who said, like, for instance, the latest initiative of this Anganwadi. They wouldn't know what this Anganwadi are. And so, of course, it has to be us who propose something like this. So from that point of view, we have maximum support. And on the other end, we have people here who are very knowledgeable. Most of our employees are Indians. We are just a few expatriates in the company. And so, for instance, for this Anganwadi, we had an MOU signed with the Zila Parishad in Pune, so that they will be partner in that. So we take some commitment, they take some other commitment. Because we are going to renovate this Anganwadi. And by the way, one of these possibly will cost like 10 houses that you would find in the countryside, but we want to do things in a proper way. But their commitment is to try and maintain this, because of course we stop there, then they'll have to do their little bit. And they will use this, by the way, also not only for the kids, but also for some other services as a community center when the kids are not there during the rest of the day.
Okay, no, these are interesting experiences that I think many people in the EU Excellence Club, if you will, would like to hear from. Yeah, Dr. Bose, do you have such initiatives planned in terms of, say, I know you're a wind energy company, but would you put a solar rooftop on your manufacturing facility and consider zero discharge and waste policies?
Well, you know that when you make the wind turbine blades, you use the resin and also the composite material, glass fiber. So this material is normally in India this is being just disposed, and just dumped it somewhere. But what we have decided is that we will recycle this and or we will powder this, and then it can be used for the landfilling. This is, especially in Mumbai-Pune road, you always find a landsliding. So there you can use this, and because the strength of this material is 6 times stronger than steel and many times lighter than steel, the composite material, glass composite material. So you can even use for the landfilling and also construction and many things. So this is something which we are now talking to a few of the German companies, Mittelstand companies and medium and small enterprises. They wanted to come and join us. They would probably be interested to take the waste and even they can powder it and make the bricks out of it. So it will be very lightweight. You don't spend too much money for the air condition cost, etc., etc. And there are nearly, if I'm not mistaken, 19 gigawatt turbines are almost 22 years old. So all these are to be replaced. So the blades which are taken away from that, if you can powder it, and then you can still use this as this composite material for a lot of other interesting activities, low-cost housing and so on. So it's too early for me because we are just starting our operation in India, but these are our plans for the social commitments. Thank you.
Okay, no, I think it's also just like Ferrero has done, starting operations in India in 2011, you said? Well, 13 years back.
The factory, in fact, 2007.
But starting thinking about these things already now, you will commence manufacturing in a bit, so start thinking about all these elements now, get this sort of inspiration, get that ecosystem up and running, rather than retrofitting at a later stage. And I know it's sometimes difficult to juggle all priorities of everything, but I think there's a lot of value in considering that.
Absolutely, because the Alice Woven Foundation, they are very serious about the environment factors and also the social services and commitment for, we really don't call it as, in Germany we don't call it as CSR really, because as you said, we are a privately owned company, so, but this is as a social commitment we do whichever country we go, we give it back to the society when we make the success in these particular countries. So this is what we adopt in India as well.
And to both of you, it's easy to convince your Indian partners, your Indian collaborators of these targets?
Yeah, it's already in our case, it's part of our system, ecosystem. So whichever country we go, and it is a country based, because in Brazil or Canada, all these countries, it is different. In India, we as Indian experts has to suggest which are the ecosystems we should create. So this is totally acceptable back in the headquarters.
Well, we are 100% owned, so we don't have an Indian partner here. But as I said, all our employees really believe in this. So sometimes they are pushing us to do that. So no issue for us.
That's good. Okay, I'll take 1 or 2 questions from the room if anybody's burning with a question to one of the 2 panelists before I hand over the reins to Henriette. Yes, down the back. Do we, by any chance, have a...
Hello. We heard a lot of fascinating examples of green practices with Ferrero, for example. But would you mind talking a little bit about your raw materials, sourcing of raw materials, let's milk, sugar, chocolate, whether you made any progress in that area?
Could you just introduce yourself?
Abhijit Banerjee from Jindal University.
Thank you.
Well, as far as we are concerned, we have tried to localize as much as possible our raw material here. I would say that over 90% of our raw material are sourced here locally. There are some which are still sourced from outside. For instance, there are some oils which we source for some other countries. Palm oil is one of this, and it's interesting that 3 days ago there was the WWF that came out with a rank of the most responsible producer of palm oil, and Ferrero was the #1 in the world. So we only use certified oil and all over the world, and that's something that we still import here in India. But among the producers, we are the #1 in the world.
Thank you. Okay, there was one more question right here. And then the last one here.
Hello, Ashish Agarwal from Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow. I was a little intrigued by your use of CSR and sustainability very, very interchangeably. Given the fact that there are very clear-cut different policy guidelines, especially in context of India. For example, CSR is for certain financial size of companies have to spend at least 2%. And similarly now for sustainability, we have now national guideline, NGRBC, coming in, and that is, they have a different criteria for top 1,000 companies and all. And reporting is also different. So how do you manage that? Because reporting is quite different for sustainability and CSR, especially in Indian context. How do you manage that? I was just wondering.
Yeah, as I said, there is this law here in India, but actually we started this activity much before we were really in the obligation of giving this 2% of CSR, because we started these activities when we were not yet in the green, in the red, we were not yet profitable, let's put it like this. So we keep on reporting these activities more from I would say, just to ensure that the public knows what Ferrero does. We do not have that obligation yet, in spite of the fact of being in a different situation now from the moment when we have started. No major issues in terms of dividing sustainability from CSR as of today.
Thank you. And the very, very last question from over here.
I'm Prerna. I have a startup called EcoFloor. So my question to both of you is that do you have any plan or vision to invest or support startups which are in environment space?
Yes, as I mentioned to you that we also have a program for developing entrepreneurs on startup companies, especially on wind energy sector. You know, this is anything is related to environment, wind energy, sustainable energy. You're more than welcome. We have plans. We are already on the final design stage of our Indian plans for this. So you're more than welcome to contact us. Thank you.
Not specifically from our side.
Okay, I think we'll take that bilaterally, okay? So, because I need to wrap this up, and I want to thank you both very much for your insights, and looking forward to also maybe discuss one-on-one with you. I think there's still some questions in the audience. So thank you very much for coming and taking time out and being part of the EU Excellence Club, and then also presenting your insights and your experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all the panelists. We will now move to the next session, and I would request Ms. Henriette Faergemann, who will be the moderator for the next session on perspectives on EU excellence in India by Indian stakeholders. The panelists for this session who will be presenting would be Mr. Souvik Bhattacharjya, who is the Associate Director and Fellow of the Center for Resource Efficiency and Governance Division at the Energy and Resources Institute, TERI, New Delhi. I would also request Mr. Amrendra Kumar from Tata Steel to join us on the dais, please, and Mr. Mukherjee, the President Designate of the Bengal Chambers of Commerce here in India.
Okay, so thank you very much. So we are ready for the next session, and so now we've heard from some of the European players about their value proposition, their offer, what they feel they can contribute. Of course, these were just two examples out of the many that we will have and we will showcase. But we would also like to hear a little bit more from the Indian side. So what is it really that you are looking for when you're looking at European companies? Do you think that they are excellent? Is there something you would want them to do differently? Are there any new types of collaboration with Indian stakeholders that you could guide us towards, and any other things you would like to mention from your side? So the first presentation that we will have, I think you have a presentation, Souvik, right? Yes. So Souvik is our colleague from TERI who has been working together with me actually for up to almost 6 years now on resource efficiency and circular economy in India. And we've had, through this EU-India collaboration, we've had the pleasure to develop a resource efficiency strategy together with Niti Aayog. We have been helping the Ministry of Environment to develop a RE policy that is in public consultation now. And TERI has been one of our partners really very heavily engaged in this. We've also been working at the state level to try to take some of these concepts really into the practical level. And one of the states we've been working with is Goa. And what Souvik will present to us now is the kind of work that we've been doing on developing a resource efficiency strategy for Goa. And it's an interesting example, I think, because many concrete opportunities come out. So yeah, I will not say everything that you're supposed to say, but just to introduce. Thank you.
Thanks, Henriette. My panelists, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me extend a warm welcome to all the delegates at the World Sustainable Development Summit. And also with regard to the introduction for this particular presentation, and I think Henriette has already given a kind of a context, background of the presentation that I'm going to touch upon. And in fact, it very well connects with today's topic in terms of how we can have better collaboration between India as well as EU, particularly in the private sector, to promote resource efficiency and circular economy. So what I'm going to present is kind of a spin-off activities we undertook under this initiative with the partners and in particular with the state government to come up with a strategy document. As I mentioned that the project started, the EU REI, the EU Resource Efficiency Initiative project started way back in 2017, and we are going to complete 3 years this year. And where apart from TERI, GIZ, CII, and Adelphi are other key partners working across various sectors. So the Goa strategy document was one of the documents to look at how, in fact, the state's activities and opportunities with regard to resource efficiency can have a kind of a seamless convergence at the national level, the policy that we are together working for the Ministry of Environment and Forest. And then we looked at primarily 3 sectors, because these are the 3 sectors which we felt important and key, where opportunities exist significantly in the state. That includes the tourism, the construction and the demolition sector, as well as the issue with regard to the marine litter. It's not a specific sector, but yes, one you can talk about, one of the critical issue with regard to addressing pollutions in oceans. It proposes obviously the current state where we are in terms of our utilization of the resources, and more importantly, what opportunities exist and how best we can tap that opportunities through technology, processes, and the policy interventions. The limitation, I don't know whether we'll call it a limitation of this, is that they're primarily looking at abiotic resources, but none to say that there are a lot of opportunities that exist across other like biotic sectors, particularly in the forestry and water pollution. Now, we'll shortly touch upon the 3 sectors that we have covered, and more importantly, where the opportunities exist that we feel. I believe there's already a lot of initiatives being undertaken, not only in the state of Goa, but also in other states. But just to give you an indication in terms of how that can be leveraged and how that can be upscaled, not only in that state, but across different parts of India. So with regard to the tourism sector, the scope includes, in fact, the converting the waste which is being generated, and it's the solid waste, and you do have a lot of like valuable materials being discarded in the process of waste generation. So can we generate value-added products from those wastes? The used cooking oil, which creates a lot of like opportunity for producing biodiesel in India. The waste fabrics, can that be used for either giving it a second life or to be used in a different sector, or it can be used for alternate material, just the way you have been using this cottons for quilts being assembled in Panipat. Exploring use of standards and criteria for promoting resource efficiency and circular economy in hotels and homestays when it comes to the procurement of various products and services in these hotels. Can there be certain guidelines and standards that might help the companies to in fact identify what to select, where to procure from, and for the possible implications of those services and products. And the guidelines for tour operators, because there are a lot of like agencies who are in fact promoting tourism in not only in the state but across other sectors. Can there be specified guidelines where they can in fact communicate these guidelines to the visitors who are coming in India, and how they can in fact also support resource efficiency initiatives across various states? In the construction and demolition sector, well, there exists a lot of opportunities, but broadly, if I have to classify, it would be in the form of like newer products, newer materials for which they can be standardized, they can be labeled, and it can find application. Also, in different Indian states, you have different climatic conditions, and the local culture has promoted various kind of like local architecture. So that vernacular architecture is something that can have significant implications so far resource consumption is concerned in terms of the positive way. So can the learning or in terms of the information sharing platform can be used from the European Union to promote such vernacular architecture in the India across different states having similar climatic conditions? Can we have better utilization of the construction and demolition waste? I mean to say the in situ utilization, so that it can be utilized then and there, reducing the overall carbon and the other material footprint. The creation of distribution channels and the functioning market of the recycled building material. So it's important that wherein we have, say, the construction and demolition waste being generated at a particular point and where products are being created, but how we can actually create market for these products, not only in that local region, but also across nearby states, and for that matter, maybe across other distant states. So that's quite critical, and can that be replicated in other ways, so it eventually reduces the cost of production of such recycled materials in other areas. Data support services when it comes to collection and reporting purpose, particularly when it comes to the state pollution control boards, because they are responsible for maintaining inventories of the various amount of construction demolition waste which is generated. So can the analytics and the data support system be provided to the state environment departments or the pollution control boards to inventorize those data? The technology sharing opportunities, as I mentioned, in terms of demo projects, in terms of pilots projects, and wherein we can pull in funds either from the private sector or from the public sector to see that how that can be upscaled. Innovative products, as I had already mentioned, having its market locally. So you can have two type of products wherein you can have specialized product that have the significant local acceptance, but at the same time you might have a lot of other products which may not have local acceptance but can create opportunities in other states. And finally, the comprehensive resource efficiency and circular economy indicators for sector, integrating them in the building code. Can we have learning in terms of what are the low-hanging indicators which can immediately be used for any kind of decision making by the architects for different type of buildings? I'm not talking about a kind of a one-size-fits-for-all kind of list of indicators applicable for all, but that can be customized for different kind of buildings. With regard to the marine litter, converting plastic waste, obviously it's a major menace and is increasing day by day. So what are the alternate products that can be available at subsidized at a much lower cost? Discarded fishing nets again is a major issue, and their collection and management. Can there be ways how that can be collected in a cost-effective manner, and products that can be integrated with the existing recycled products which are already being manufactured in India? Providing sensors that in a way will help the fish condition, the growth, as well as the marine water quality. So simultaneously we'll be able to generate a lot of information that might in fact help reduce our separate collection of data for various decision making purpose. Eco-friendly alternatives to plastics, quite similar to like converting plastic to alternative products. Other opportunities which are pretty generic would be like having material recovery infrastructures in terms of ensuring that those recovery infrastructures are environmentally sound and in fact also has significant social benefits for creation of local employment. sectoral training and capacity building, particularly who are working at the ground level, and abetting and promoting like networks and alliances, which we have seen in many parts of the world, and primarily in Europe. So can we mobilize such kind of network and alliances to also have similar thinking discussion in India, and wherein it also gives an opportunity, I think, for all the different stakeholders to come on board, work together, and also have the private sector to facilitate the RE transition. So in this regard, yes, one of the aspects that is critical is with regard to the investment and financing. And so what we feel is the investment in recycling equipment and facilities would be quite critical. We are seeing a lot of like these small demo units coming up in major satellite towns across India, but possibly these may not be enough in terms of able to handle the kind of volume that would be generated in the coming years. So we need to think of like bigger and more in numbers in and across these areas. So we need land, we need investments, and obviously in terms of the infrastructure. Then supporting projects that include innovative features for products, production process or business model, and sustainable alternatives to plastic waste, managing plastic waste and preventing it from becoming marine litter. So I think the example of Ferrero was like unique in terms of a alternate plastic economy is a kind of a unique example. But somewhere somebody has to start with a specific sector, and how that can be promoted across various parts of the value chain across various sectors is critical from the long-term sustainability perspective. Advisory services are very important when it comes to recommendation of what customized policies local governments can take, state governments can take, as well as at the national level, because you do have different kind of socio-economic profile, level of economic development. So we cannot have a kind of a one-size-fit-for-all solution. And creative demand for more circular economy projects among governments and with the private and the sector, civil society, by raising awareness, designing financial instruments. And as I mentioned, that it is all about providing these services, the necessary services that would be required to facilitate this transition at the national level, at the regional level, as well as the local level. And more importantly, we feel that how whatever being produced in the form of recyclable product or services that are being generated in the economy, whether that can be a network created not only in the country but also within the region. So it has significant scale effects, it has significant benefits in terms of the viability of many of the products which are being produced or the services that are being offered in the region. So with that, I conclude, and we'll look forward for a healthy discussion and questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Souvik. I think that was a really nice example of how, through some of our policy discussions, we can, identify some solutions or some projects that are really quite easily accessible and maybe not even that costly, and where I think European companies would potentially have a lot to contribute. So I think it'll be very interesting to continue to work on implementing this strategy, and we look forward to launching it with the state government in a very near future. So we will keep you posted on all this. So thanks for that. So maybe since we are at the state level, maybe we should move from Goa to Bengal. So
no problem. I can live with that. But we are primarily in the east, so we represent almost the entire eastern part. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. While I don't have a presentation over here, but I thought it's best to talk about this subject as an extempore rather than reading through a presentation. So I represent Tata Steel. We are one of the 10th largest steel companies in the world. And in India, we make around 20 million tons of steel every year, which makes us sometimes first or sometimes second largest steel company in India. So we are kind of a flagship company of the Tata Group, the $100 billion conglomerate, wherein we have assets in India where we make steel. We also have presence in Southeast Asia, in Europe. We have almost 50% of our production coming from Europe. We have mining presence in Africa as well as in Canada. So what I can safely say is that we are largely present in almost all the continents, and we have either mining or operations or commercial activity in most part of the world. Now, as a group, for us, the respect and safeguarding the environment is kind of a fundamental principle for all the Tata Group companies. And we always believe that attaining that excellence has a strategic imperative. We believe that in our long-term journey to create value and for effective stakeholder management and corporate citizenship, we need to have a very strong and robust environment excellence policies in place. So, largely our actions are guided by through our strong policies. We have our own Tata Code of Conduct. We are also signatories of the European Climate Accord. We are also part of the United Nations Global Compact policies. So in India, if you look at our history, we were one of the earlier adopters of the triple bottom line approach of financial and corporate reporting. So we are one of the first companies who came out with the complete disclosure of our environment excellence and our environment performance as part of our integrated annual report. And that has been going on for last many, many years. Our Indian and European operations, they are all recognized by World Steel as the leaders in climate action change. We also have a very, very structured approach as far as sustainable manufacturing is concerned. We call them as sustainability pillars. I just want to spend some time talking about what these sustainability pillars mean for us. It starts first with sustainable mining. We are one of the largest mining companies in India. We mine almost 30 to 40 million tons of various types of raw materials. Hence, it becomes very important for us to conserve the environment, conserve the process, and conserve the biodiversity. So if you look at all our mining assets and all our mining locations, so we have a laid down BMP. We call it as Biodiversity Management Plan for each of our locations, so that whenever we are doing any kind of mining activity, we understand what is at stake, we know what is the roadmap which needs to be taken, and we conserve the environment to whatever extent it is possible. We do that. The second important sustainability pillar for us is innovation. While we do a lot of work with auto companies, with various other capital good equipments, we help them to reduce the weight of the car. We help them reduce the weight of the engines. We help them reduce the weight of the product, because the more we reduce the weight of any equipment or any car or any commercial vehicle, it serves our purpose, it serves to our objective to lesser energy, lesser carbon emissions, and thereby sustainable operations all across the world. One of our another key sustainability pillar is to get into environment excellence. Now here again, I want to talk about some of the examples what we do. Our Southeast Asian operations is completely working on recycling. We don't use any natural resource to manufacture steel in South Asia. So the entire operations runs on scrap. The benefits, what it adds is that it reduces our energy utilization by almost 70%, our resource utilization by equally 70%, and our energy or our carbon emissions by around 50 to 60%. That's the kind of operations which we run from our Southeast Asia. Our European operations, they are one of the leaders in terms of carbon generation or carbon emissions per ton of crude steel what we manufacture. Just to give you some sense, for manufacturing 1 ton of steel, we release typically around 2 to 2.3 tons of carbon dioxide in the air. That's huge. That's huge quantities of CO2, which goes up into the atmosphere every year. Our European operations does it in 1.7 tons of carbon dioxide. While I totally agree that even a ton or even a kilogram of carbon dioxide is not good for the environment, but still, we do our bit through our European operations, through the various research and innovation which is happening at our European labs. Even in India, we are moving from a linear to a circular economy as in the last few years in the past, and going forward in the coming decade, we tend to move completely from a linear to a circular economy concept. And that's the sustainability goal which we are pursuing at our senior levels and at every level of our organization. Again, to talk about something what we exactly do. When we make a steel, for every 100 kgs of steel, we produce 7 kgs of waste material. Now just imagine we make 20 million tons of steel in India. That means we make 1.5 million tons of waste product. 25 years ago, if you visit a steel plant, even if it is not surrounded by hills or mountains, actually it used to get surrounded even in some point in time. Because this entire waste used to be dumped all across the periphery of these plants. And whenever you visit such a facility, you'll find that actually it is a hilly area or something, but it never used to be that. Those were waste products which were just dumped outside the steel plants. Now things have changed. There has been a complete transition to what is happening now. Now when we produce waste material during blast furnace operations, where the raw material is converted into hot metal, the entire waste material goes into cement making. 30% of the natural resources which gets used for cement making is being used by our waste material. So cement industry has found a lot of value in the waste material which we used to generate. A very good example of reuse. When we used to make hot metal to steel, we used to generate a different kind of waste material. Even till date, that waste material used to just lie outside the steel plant as waste, and it used to pile up and it become a small hill in maybe 10-15 years. Today, that waste material goes into road making. So now roads are made from that material. That material goes into making fertilizer because that material is rich in phosphates. That material goes into making bricks so that we conserve our natural resources. We don't use the soil and sand which is there lying in the earth. So the complete linear has got transitioned into a reuse kind of an economy. Now what we are doing in this decade, what differently we are trying to do. Our Indian footprint, manufacturing footprint is 100% made from raw material. So every 20 million ton is made by using the raw materials like iron ore, limestone, coal and everything else. In this decade, we want to move away from the iron ore route of steel making. We want to move into a circular way of making steel, that is through scrap. Now that's the objective which we are pursuing as a team, as a company and as a group, to get into this scrap-based steel making in India. Now that's where I wanted to talk about how we can leverage the advanced technologies which has already been tried, tested and implemented in Europe. We are at a stage where the scrap generation in India has gradually increased because of whatever steel which has gone into in form of either infrastructure, in form of buildings, in form of capital goods, in form of the cars and automobiles which are there, the appliances which we use in our home. 15-20 years of usage converts them into an obsolete scrap. Now it's the time to use that steel-based equipments, the facilities, and then it can be remelted, processed, and then remelted, and then we can use the inherent property of steel that it can be recycled any number of times without losing its properties. Now, to fulfill this objective, we are setting up the first recycling plant in NCR. In Delhi, close to Delhi. That will be the first automatic, scientific, mechanized processing of scrap, which we are setting up for a capacity of around 500,000 tons. So while we are looking at all the options, we chose to go with European technology to set up this plant, and the first plant is getting commissioned in the month of April. Now going forward, once the scrap gets processed scientifically and through a very organized process, then we will be needing technologies to make steel out of it. Again, we would be needing technological support, the long history of know-how. We have understood that Europe today makes almost 50 to 60% of steel from scrap. So we understand and we appreciate that there's a strong knowledge, there is a strong repository of operational know-how which exists, which can be leveraged by India when we adopt these technologies over here. One which we need at the most is at the policy support. The work which has been happening through BRE in terms of providing a comprehensive resource efficiency policy, all in form of through the Niti Aayog as a part of steel recycling policies. All these policies are going to help India move into this or make this transition more efficiently from a linear to a circular economy. But we also appreciate the fact that in Europe, these policies and these practices have now reached to a stages of maturity. So now we as India have an opportunity to leapfrog, adopt those policies which has been tried and tested on time, use the practices which has been established, tested, and the benefits has been already been accrued directly to our operations, and we can leverage and make this transition from linear to circular maybe in 5 years or 10 years down the line. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you had spoken for one more minute, I would have made you an honorary EU Excellence member. So, but I think I can promise you that we will bring all our guests to see your recycling with European technologies. So thank you so much for that. So now I will give the word to you to say a few words from the side of Bengal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I need to make a confession. I was not aware, neither was I prepared to address this session. I was part of an earlier session till I got a message from my colleague Ongona asking me to come and meet my old friend Paul Jensen here, with whom I had worked earlier in EBTC, I mean not in EBTC, but with EBTC. That's going back about maybe 5-7 years, possibly, or maybe more. 9-10, so it's even longer. But friendships last, and we get reconnected. A great opportunity. I came and whilst there was a presentation going on Ferrero, and that was very heartening to note that as a social enterprise, how it's making a meaningful contribution in the world of business. Now, that's the little I understood. In this session, my colleague spoke from Tata Steel. Let me come down a little bit, and the hat I wear, I was thinking as to what hat. I wear multiple hats, but the most appropriate one would be the Chamber of Commerce that I'm representing as an outreach partner of TERI and for this summit. And as a chamber, I thought if I were to be the face of the business community, what would be my take on this summit, and what should be the contribution or the perspective that we set from the chamber and connect to the audience, to the stakeholders. As a responsible business, we need to step back and look at shareholder value in a more holistic sense, which goes beyond just financial returns on investment to larger social causes and environmental impact. Now, companies like Tata Steel, yes, they are very responsible, and he mentioned about the triple bottom line audit, the sustainability audit. My humble submission is sustainability in simple terms. Sustainability has to be the mainstream business. So it's no longer an option just for reporting mechanism, just for compliance requirements, but it should be embedded into your business processes. Now, the challenge comes for large corporations. They have the wherewithal, they have the infrastructure to deliver and to work on this. The real challenge is managing small enterprises. The real challenge is involving stakeholders where you have village-level community involvement. Now, that is where a significant amount of business and opportunity, challenges and opportunity lie. And that's where we need to adopt a very smart thinking, an innovative approach in terms of identifying technology, taking technology to market in terms of its applicability, in terms of its adaptation, and most importantly, the business models to deliver the technology to market and make it commercially viable. Now, one can talk a lot about all this, but there was one area where I thought that it is a sweet spot for any new business, or for that matter, existing businesses, to make a meaningful contribution, and in the context of India. And that is in climate-smart agriculture and resource efficiency in the agriculture sector, where you have a large agricultural community, and their resource efficiency is of paramount importance, and adaptation of advanced technology which can help in resource management is, I think, a very, very interesting subject to talk about. Now, it's not very general. I will not go into specifics, but we have, as a business, I'll just step back, and as a business, we have some sort of a solution that can actually work in the value chain and deliver value create employment, and bring about a low carbon, in that low carbon transition, can make a meaningful contribution. And that is in climate smart agriculture, where you look at energy efficiency, where you look at water efficiency, you look at nutrient management, and eventually you work towards a zero emission transition for maximum yield, high productive yield. So this is one area where an organization like TERI, an organization like EBTC, supported by EU, and a Chamber of Commerce can all work together as stakeholders and make a meaningful contribution. The other area where, as a Chamber of Commerce, we are working on, and we would very much like EBTC and EU to come and partner with us, is to look at what we term as a center of excellence. And this center of excellence would help in benchmarking and in adaptation of best practices and processes in terms of technology and route to market. We would focus very much on the SME sector. We have a large number of members in the chamber who are in the small and medium sector, and if there is any value we could give them, then I think we would have done our job as a responsible chamber. I'm conscious that we are spending a lot of time, and I don't want to hog the limelight for more than what I've spoken for more than 10 minutes. But thank you very much for the opportunity, and if I can be of any help, or the chamber can be of any help in terms of any meaningful cooperation, we'll be more than delighted. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to all of you. I think this set of presentations had really highlighted what are some of the opportunities, what are some of the needs, and what are some of the good examples that are already happening. And I was just thinking that maybe even if you don't really fully qualify for the EU excellence concept, maybe we could invite you as some kind of an advisory role to guide us on how to further develop this concept, because I think that can be very interesting to see really how your experience and what you feel the EU businesses can do. So maybe you will hear from us in this context. I thought we should just take the chance of the businesses, European businesses who are here, to see if they have any questions to the panel. So how do you feel about the concept of EU excellence, and is there something that particularly you feel you could develop with these companies, or questions, anything? So any EU companies still present in the room that want to ask questions?
My name is Praveen Kumar Sood. I'm the chairman of Regnant Energy Solutions, like I signed there. And I wish to inform you that I have also developed a project. The project itself is called Hope for Africa Through Sustainable Development. And I'm mentoring many people there. And I'm also connected with the Professor M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation in India. And exactly the kind of thing what you said, because my background is into electronics, and in agriculture, we need to adapt the latest agriculture practices using electronics. So therefore, I think one of the biggest challenges that India faces today, what you rightly said, is connecting the villages and MSME sector with there are a lot of technologies and a lot of options available, but they are not being managed well. So this is where I would like organization like, I think you are from CII, if I understand. Yeah.
No, I'm from Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Great, because I'm working with the Indian Chamber of Commerce already on certain issues, and PhD Chamber. So I think this is a great opportunity, and what we really need is, like Pramit, you said that there are, the India-specific models. Absolutely. India-specific models have a lot of potential, and this is our Prime Minister's vision also, to get back to our basics of village development. And this village development will only happen if you utilize all the resources at the local level. We have a huge opportunity here in India to demonstrate, and practically I'm doing at my level in a very small manner, but when organizations back you up, then we can take it up at a much higher level, because we have got a lot of agriculture resources. We are only talking about the solar, but there's a big potential of small solar, wind, and this bio hybrid business models addressing the energy issues of our country. So my point here is that, maybe after this, I'll collect a couple of name cards and give you a couple of my suggestions which are commercially viable today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very valuable suggestion. Any other questions just now? Otherwise, I'll just ask a question in the interim. So what we often hear is that European technologies are very costly, and we all know about the L1 rule. So maybe I'm not sure if that applies to you as well, but how do you see this whole issue of the costs versus the quality, and is there any merit in buying expensive European technologies compared to cheaper technologies from other parts of the world?
So in our case, it wasn't L1. So we did away with the L1 philosophy when we were going ahead. But then that decision was largely triggered from the fact that even an initial higher cost of equipments or technology usually gets offset in a long term if we do a total TCO kind of analysis, or if we do a life cycle assessment. Usually those initial high costs gets offset. But then in our case, the decision driver was also coming from the fact that when we are venturing into a space where we haven't had enough experience in the past, it's always wise to choose something which has been tried, tested, and time tested, if I can call it that way. So that was largely what was driving. So then two things. One is L1 was waived off. And second is we looked at a holistic cost or a long-term benefit as using a tested technology rather than trying out some low-cost alternatives.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you want to add anything to this?
There was just a little bit I wanted to mention about when you talked about L1. It's all about how you package and position your solution and the technology, and how you adapt it to suit the requirements or the needs. In something in the IT space, people used to talk, and I'm sure most of you or all of you would be familiar with the blue ocean strategy. So that is make competition irrelevant, whereby you don't have to even consider about L1. So in the context of sustainability and green business, if you could package it and position the solution in such a way that you can stay away from competition, price would not be the determining factor. I'll take an example. For instance, I mentioned about the reason, and I'm happy that the gentleman there actually corroborated and validated what I said. Say in the agri-tech sector, the important thing is community engagement. And if you can, in a meaningful, smart manner, using technology, use the community and go for an aggregation model, you can make it work. It becomes commercially viable. Now, this aggregation can happen right from your technology determination to your adaptation, to your business model, to your delivery. And even the financial mechanism can be worked out, because there, if you can do the demand aggregation and bring about a finance aggregation and put together a right mechanism in terms of financial instruments, it is possible. Because in the morning session, when we were talking about decentralized, de-risking decentralized solar solutions, these were some of the observations that came up. So the short point I wanted to make was, madam, technology price or price for the right technology should not be considered as an entry barrier to new markets, and especially to the Indian market. It's all about smart thinking and innovative thinking.
Thank you very much. Actually, as part of this EU Excellence concept, we are thinking about also having a blog, and I think I will ask both of you to write this down, because then we don't have to quote you. This was really excellent. Thank you very much. So any more questions or comments, ideas for how we can further develop this concept of EU Excellence? One more from you.
Since you spoke about the cost, and just like the gentleman just elaborated on that, let me tell you. First of all, when you are trying to sell and implement an European technology in India, you must understand India is a very big market in terms of population, in terms of economics, call it anything. Therefore, look at the long-term perspective of working with Indian, Indian ecosystems. You have, because we are a democracy, we are not like China. We are a democracy. So here, but the results are going to be more permanent, more visible, and more effective, because our genes, genetically, you go into our ancient history, we are environmentally friendly people. And the cost can be amortized over a long period of time. And once you, this concept of L1, organization like European Union or EBTC, these kind of organizations, and TERI, of course, being part of that, can sit with the government, think tanks, and tell them that, we are not looking for immediate benefits. We are looking for long-term benefits. When you build that kind of a thinking into the bidding process or whatever you call it, you will be more successful. That's my observation. Thank you.
Just to add, thank you so much for those comments. In fact, to add to what I have presented, I think the most important opportunity exists in the residential sector. And I'm a little surprised, we did not discuss about Industry 4.0. And there is a lot of discussion in terms of how we can actually align Industry 4.0 and circular economy, particularly in the consumer electronics sector. And we see a significant surge in demand in that sector. So we see an opportunity, and that needs to be tapped in the most efficient manner. To give you an example, we used to have, we consume juices in our homes, right? We used to do it, and whatever is being actually coming out as a kind of a reject was used to be also used for some other application, maybe in some other cooking. But then there was a sway of, there's a flood of different kind of products which used to have those kind of extraction happening. But now we are able to actually see a new products which are coming in the market that are not only able to, in fact, give us the necessary product, but also make use of the rejects to add additional nutrient value in the product itself. So there are opportunities, there are technologies, particularly in the residential sector, that I feel, and that gives additional momentum in terms of taking the EU excellence in India operate in a more effective manner.
Okay, thank you very much for this. So I think we are coming slowly to an end of our session. So maybe if Paul is slowly getting ready to wrap up or say goodbye or whatever, or maybe I should say goodbye, I don't know. In any case, I just wanted to tell you that, so this whole EU excellence concept is launched today. We are going to develop it jointly with the European businesses, with the chambers of commerce, with advice from all our Indian friends. And then we're also going to keep linking it closely to our other projects. So for example, the resource efficiency initiative that Souvik has been working under, we are just in the phase of starting a phase 2. We've been working already in the phase 1 very closely with the Ministry of Steel to talk about issues like steel recycling. And it's definitely something that we want to continue to talk about also, not only in the business level, but also at the policy level. And again, many of these topics, we will continue talking about them also from the policy side, and of course then try to link this closely to the concept of EU excellence and the businesses. So from my side, thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you on this.
Thank you. For all of you for coming and for providing your inputs and being interactive about this, and we're quite happy that we have been able to launch this, and we have gotten a lot of input, a lot of ideas of how we can expand upon it. I want to thank you all for coming and giving your inputs, and I hope we've been able to maybe showcase just a bit of excellence in trying to manage and this, because it was quite fluid to the last minute. But I still think we got a lot of interesting outcomes, interesting inputs that we can use and are useful in co-creating something with you all that is useful for you to be part of. So thank you all for that. Thank you for your insights and your time that you spent here with us, and look forward to stay in touch with you. Thank you very much.